Welcome to Rope Dropping Knowledge, where we guide you through the magic of Disney.
Hello, hello, hello.
Sorry we're late again. I know we
Always
said
late.
Friday, but it's Saturday.
I know. I had a business meeting and I went to an Italian restaurant and then I ate
Bolognese.
Didn't sit well. But I
Yeah,
don't know. But I don't know if I was just dehydrated. I need to drink more water too.
I never liked bolognese, and I never know what the difference is. But you said it's because it's slow cooked or whatever.
Well,
like,
at
I
this
don't know what the
particular
difference.
restaurant, they have a 6-hour process that makes the sauce and everything, and But I don't know. Maybe I'm just not accustomed to like really, really good Italian food. 'Cause it tasted very well. It was very well done. So
Yeah, I'm not usually
no shade on the restaurant.
because I can make pasta at home. So
You know I'm long-winded, so when I'm talking about my ideas and stuff, I'm like, la, 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 and I'm trying to eat
oh
at the
yeah,
restaurant. And I'm like, Well, anyway, yes, we are glad to be back. Missed you guys. And this is episode 223 of the Rope Dropping Knowledge podcast. We still have a giveaway that is in effect. It's active. It is our photograph on the metal frame. And who's it from?
Q's Trips. His Instagram is QS_trips.
Mhm.
And he goes by Q. I think his name is David, but he goes by Q. And
David Quintanilla, I believe.
yeah,
Mm.
but I think even his wife, when she does Instagram, calls him Q. So I think he just goes by Q.
Like in Star Trek. He's like, they were like, it's like godlike beings in Star Trek.
No, Q like James Bond.
Oh, yeah.
Q, the tech guy. Except
Ah.
this is the photography guy.
Ah.
I don't know.
Maybe he has like camera inside a pen or something. Like spy cameras. But yeah,
But
it's a
yes.
beautiful picture. It's of San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
You could see it on our Instagram and our Facebook. And this particular one is on what we, is termed as a metal frame, but I call it a metal canvas because there's actually no frame around it.
Yes.
But you don't need a frame. So I
Right.
don't want you to think that if you win, you have to go out and buy a frame.
Right.
It
This is
mounts
the-
to your wall.
Yep.
And it has like it's a few like maybe a couple inches off the wall, so
Yeah,
it looks like it's floating.
Mhm.
And it has some screws and mounting kit with it. So awesome gift in my opinion. So yes, that ends on the 30th, and all you have to do is direct message us via Facebook or Instagram. The answer to this question: if you could be friends with any Disney character in the park for one day, in any park for one day, who would it be? Which character? And of course, for those people who aren't into Disney lingo, being friends with means you play that character.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, I think most of our people know what the lingo is, but you never
Well,
know. We
I
have Lou
didn't know.
listening. That's true. You didn't know. So, it must be 18 years or older. And again, this particular giveaway ends on the 30th, which is next Saturday
Yes.
at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You must live in the continental United States. Well, no, you don't. You can live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Or Puerto Rico or Alaska. So so you have to live in the United States, basically. Or I don't want to say one of our territories because then that counts Guam. But you know what? I would ship it to Guam. I would include them. American
Okay.
Samoa is a little far.
We're all getting technical.
Yeah, I know. We'll see, though. If we get somebody from American Samoa, I will send it
We
out.
will ship it.
We will ship it to you.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. All right. So, yeah. We got some news. We got like a mixed master stuff. But let's start it off with our last day because we haven't done a podcast since then. We were at the Pixar Place Hotel for the first time. Is it under its official new name?
Mm-hmm.
How was it, in your opinion?
I thought it was great. The lobby, everything was very festive with all the Pixar. Like we showed Luxor lamp was right there in the lobby. It used to be Goofy with his surfboard when it was Paradise Pier. And I took a picture of it, and it was cool. And I found out later it's Luxo Junior. Luxor Senior looks different. Anyways. And then there's like all these murals of different Pixar characters. There's the piano there with
from Soul.
From Soul and Joe. I forgot his name. Joe something from Soul. He comes out as a character and he plays the piano in the lobby.
Which is pretty cool because that's very unique. Because we've had a lot of characters at both Disney parks, and I'm sure this isn't the first example of this, but this is the first one I've seen where you have a character that actually plays an instrument.
Yeah.
You know, because most characters just come out and they're that character.
That's true. Joe Gardner.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to look it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he actually plays. Like, you know, and he talks to the
so he's doing the character thing and he's performing, which is the thing. Yeah, I guess the closest thing you can get to that is like, you know, Avengers Campus when they're fighting or performing and doing stuff. But they're not playing instruments.
Yeah, yeah. So this is pretty cool. So he's a musician and
he actually does it. So pretty cool.
I
wonder if they'll ever do like they did with Johnny Depp and Pirates and actually have Jamie Foxx come out one day.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Start playing. Yeah.
And then the rooms, this first time, because we've been there when it was under construction and the lobby was already rethemed. Now it's more so, but then we've never had the room rethemed until now.
Right.
Like the rethemed room to Pixar. So the room was pretty cool. I showed a video of it, and it's really like spacious. I mean, we did get the premium view room, but still, it's pretty spacious compared to the Disney Villa.
Oh,
you know,
the Ivy room was kind of spacious compared.
Yeah, it had a couch. I think it pulls out as a sofa couch. I mean, what is it? A sofa bed?
Sofa bed.
And then
sofa couch.
Sofa couch.
On a couch that depends to be a couch.
Yeah. And then Luxo Junior is in our room as well. You know, the little lamp.
That's pretty cool, and it's bolted to the desk.
Yeah, so you can't steal him. You can't take him home.
But I guarantee somebody's going to try to steal it.
Can't kidnap him like Emmy wants to kidnap Minnie Mouse.
I know.
Emmy's like, I love her so much. I want to take her home. Let's just take her next time. And then Mia's like, that's kidnapping. But no, you can't kidnap Luxo Jr. because it's bolted to the desk.
Yeah. But the theming is really good.
Yeah.
And you know how they used to have those old Pixar ball pillows. Now they have like this one like cylinder sleep pillow.
Yeah.
Which is, and it has like, it's more of a nylon type fabric on top, which to me it's more sanitary because you can just wipe it down to clean it and sanitize it. The pillows, I never knew how they cleaned.
Yeah, and then it had a zipper, so they could always
they could take it out
yeah.
too. Yeah,
but
the pillows were just like the pillow balls that they used to have. I don't know
how they would clean that.
I guess they could just steam clean them or drop them in a thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
probably they have this big machine that just looked like a boba cup full of Pixar balls. That was, you know.
I don't know if they have room for all that, but yeah.
It's probably a giant industrial sized thing, but yeah, this is way more sanitary. And I don't even think they're really meant to sleep with. They're just kind of decoration.
Yeah.
But if you did lie on it, if you have a kid that was playing with it, yeah, they could wipe it and sanitize it down and put it in some UV lights or something, and it's fine, you know. So yeah, I really like the room. Our particular view was good, but you know, obviously that depends on the room you get. And the lobby looks a lot better. I told you I would test the elevator in the garage, and I did before we left, and it works. It's functional. So a lot of people, you know, who are new listeners or just new to Disney don't know that the way it used to be set up is the parking structure. The smart way was you have to drop your luggage off at the bottom and then continue to drive and park. Because if you parked at the top, you would have to carry any luggage you had all the way downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now they have like
Elevators.
an elevator, which is standard for most parking garages across America, but they didn't have that, you know. So you could park at the top and then now just jump in the elevator with your luggage and go down, and it's not like a big deal. So that is it's a small thing, but it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the lobby is great. There's a new cafe now called the Sketchpad. That's sort of like a Starbucks with pastries and coffee. And then of course there's Great Maple.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't go to the Great Maple yet. We've been there, in other cities, but we haven't been to that one yet. We saw it. It looks nice.
Yeah.
So
we almost went, but then we figured, there's Food and Wine Festival, so maybe next time we'll go.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear how other people plan out their food strategies, because we don't eat nearly as much as we used to eat. I mean, we've lost weight, and we're just kind of, I think our stomachs have shrunk. So it's kind of like we're eating more like Europeans now, which is I know it's traitorous. Right?
I know,
it's
right? Because you're always, I'm like, let's just share one dish, and you just feel like
we just had
weird
breakfast
sharing.
just now before we started recording.
And we shared a sandwich.
We shared a sandwich, right? We're going to a restaurant tonight, and this is kind of the deal, our routine now. Our little cousin Natalie, the one who's the mother of Nora, last year gave us a gift card to Juniper and Ivy, which is one of our favorite restaurants in San Diego, and we've never used it. So, and we're never really in town together.
Yeah,
we're either both gone to Disney or you're gone doing stuff,
in Orange County,
K-pop stuff or whatever. Yeah. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But this is a weekend before we celebrate Tracy's birthday.
Yay.
So we decided, we're going to go out to dinner. We have a gift card. We might as well use it. And but now we're planning around that. It's like, if we eat like a full breakfast, we're not going to want to eat dinner.
Well, Juniper and Ivy is perfect because it's a tapas place. It's a mostly small plates, shareable items. So. Yeah,
they used to have a tomahawk. I think they got rid of it.
Yeah,
but they still have a steak, which we might try. But so that's kind of how we plan at Disney now too. It's like we don't want to eat a lot now because if we have dinner reservations, I don't know. So curious to see how a lot of you guys plan out, or is it even a big deal at all? Or you just don't think about it. I see some some of our friends who are like super skinny, and it's kind of our cousin Amy. It's like super thin, but they eat like a 300-pound guy.
Because her metabolism's like a racehorse.
I wish I had that super metabolism. I don't know. Maybe when we up our exercise, our metabolism will get better. But we're also getting older, so I don't know. We'll see. I want that metabolism. I want the metabolism of a 27-year-old. 22-year-old would be perfect. But days gone by. All right. So
that was cool.
Customer service
was, we didn't experience much, but the check-in process is always awesome. Like we know Rex from there, who's checked us in a couple times. I forgot the name of the last person.
Last time we saw Rex, though, he was over at Disney.
Oh,
Disney Hotel. I can't believe
he switched.
Betrayer.
No, but that was when it was still under construction.
Yeah, so maybe they just shuffled some people for that time.
Yeah, so checking in, the front desk person is always awesome. Everybody's awesome. The person at the cafe, how you got a matcha and he made it hot accidentally and then I was like, oh no, it's okay. I'll just take it. No, I'll remake it for you and stuff. So he was nice. So everybody, customer service is always nice.
Yeah, cast members are always cool. Shout out to Hannah for booking the room.
Yes, thank you, Hannah. And then Hannah helped me with something because our stay during my birthday, so we'll be there April 1st and 2nd on property again. And originally, Hannah had booked the only room that was available at Pixar Place was a club level room, which means that you get concierge type of services. You get the concierge. I don't know what that means, but he plans your day. I don't know. And then club level means that you get
access to the lounge.
Access to the lounge, which includes free breakfast, what is it called? Appetizer hour.
Yeah.
So you get like beer and wine, appetizers, and then dessert hour. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So we booked it like months ago. Hannah booked it for me. And he's like, I was like, oh, yeah, I'll celebrate my birthday and I'll figure out how to, we'll see what it's like to be club level service. Anyways, so I was looking it up. I'm like, well, what is club level service while I was staying there? And I was like, where is that? And it still says on the Disneyland Hotel website that it's at the, whatever the old name was, like Sun Surf Room or something on the second floor. It's like, Sun Surf? That's not Pixar. That was Old Paradise Pier. So I was looking, and there's nothing that says it. And then I just Googled it. And then somebody on Reddit, and of course Reddit again, Reddit, and then also the Plan Disney, the blog with all the, that people, our friends have applied to and didn't get it. But somebody had said that I had booked a club level room at Pixar Place for April. We're going in April. And I don't know if the club lounge is available. Like finished by then. I heard it wasn't. And so the Plan Disney person was like, oh, I just talked to guest services and they said that they are hoping it would be done by July. And then he's like, well, then the only reason why I booked that room and paid more, a premium price, is because to get that level. But if we're not going to have that service, then what's the point?
Right.
And so I was like, wait, what? So then in the morning, I went down and asked a cast member at the front desk about it. And she's like, yeah, no word on when it's done yet. That's all she could tell me. I was like, well, then why would I get that room?
Yeah. Why would we pay a premium price for something that's not premium?
Yeah. She's like, well, you get the pool view. I'm like, huh? I
could walk outside and stare at the pool.
Yeah. It was like a pool terrace room with club service. So it's like, no, I don't need to, and I don't like being on the first floor anyways.
And when you're at Disneyland, the whole point isn't to not be in the room. So your view, unless it's to watch fireworks, it really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. And so she's like, well, let me check. And then she checked and she couldn't find anything. It's completely sold out.
It's sold out.
So she's just checking the same way I'm checking online. It's sold out. So then I got back while I was sitting at the getting coffee at the sketch pad. I text Hannah. I'm like, hey Hannah, so that club level room we got? It's not available, as in the club's lounge won't be open by then. And she's like, what? Why would they let me book it? I was like, I don't know. It doesn't say anything on the Disney website. I just read somebody's Reddit and blog, like Plan Disney blog. And so then she checked at the Grand and Disneyland Hotel, and it turns out the Grand was actually cheaper for a room at the Grand.
Which is crazy, which never happens.
And I was like, yeah. She's like, you want me to switch it? I was like, yeah, switch it. And then she was able to switch it right away. And
I'm like,
what do I have to do? She's like, nothing. And then I looked in my app, and it
was already
switched.
Updated.
Yeah,
my app
it was actually
updated.
cheaper by like.
This is why you
$300.
use your travel agents.
Yes, because I wouldn't know how to. I would have to call somebody.
I mean, it's not we could have done it, but it would have been all these steps and this person. You got to go to call this person, or you got to transfer. And she just did it in under a minute.
Because I was at the hotel and the cast member didn't know what was going on, and she's like, "Oh, I wouldn't cancel it because it's sold out." But I'm like, no, I'm just going to the Grand. I just call Hannah.
It's cheaper. So, so it worked out. We're in, quote, the superior hotel for less money. But, we love Pixar Place. I think that is going to be our main hotel when we stay on property. And we don't, staying on property is a treat. We don't usually, typically we're Marriott people. We stay at the Marriotts around there. But this time was just kind of our first time back in a while. And then the next time we go is for Tracy's birthday. And then the next time we're staying on property is for
your birthday.
Yeah.
And it was because the front desk cast member was telling me that, oh, that's about the right price for a regular room. But I'm thinking to myself, no, I have a room booked for only $400.
I was always thinking of
but
that
I didn't want to stand there,
Ron Swanson meme where he's going through Home Depot and then and that person's like, oh, can I, the store clerk is like, can I help you? And he's like, I know more than you. And he keeps walking, It's not the cast member's fault, right?
Yeah.
Because the cast member, I mean, they're hiring, they come and go. Some of them are newly trained, and it's kind of like, it's they only know what they know, and they can only do what they're authorized to do.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
more
don't blame
guest
the customer.
relations
Yeah,
that
guest
should know
relations is
more.
another level
Yeah.
of stuff. But we have our own guest relations. So
Yeah.
go to a concierge, book Hannah, and make your Disney trips a lot easier.
Yeah. And she and her family are at Disneyland today, this weekend, and follow along on her adventures. Yay! Hope you're having fun, Hannah. I did text her. I was like, have a good time. She's like, I'm so excited.
Cool.
Because, when you live far away, it is exciting every time you do go.
Yeah. That's exciting even when you live close.
Yeah.
That's why we still do it.
Yeah. So that was our Pixar Place experience. Overall, it was a good experience. And glad Hannah was there for my birthday trip, because then we would get there and not know. And that's the other thing I wanted to bring up is nothing on the official Disney hotel website says anything about the construction going on. So I had to read like Reddit and blogs to know that was going on. And, luckily I was like being nosy and curious.
Cool.
So
why don't you just talk about our Disney day?
Okay. Our Disney day. So let's see. What did we do? We started at DCA because of the Food and Wine Festival. And then we, I'm trying to remember what we did. Oh, so Brian had bought Rise of the Resistance. And what we did was we got all the way to the jail scene. And then it was kind of weird because after the Kylo Ren comes in at the jail scene and goes out, and then it was paused for a while. And then all of a sudden we were waiting there for maybe like 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden the door opens and they're like, oh, come back out, go stand back at your spot. And we're waiting again, and they're like, oh, don't touch anything on the wall because that might like break the ride down. So then the door opens again, we go back to jail, watch the scene again, and then we come back out again the second time. They're like, oh, come back out again the second time. So then we go back out and wait a little more, and then they're like, okay, the ride's down. So let us scan your or your lightning lane, and we'll get to go back again. You get to return when the ride opens anytime. So that's what happened. The couple in line with us was kind of upset because they had waited maybe like they had waited in standby maybe the whole 2 hours or whatever. And they felt like, oh, what a waste of day. We were only here for the one day. And I know they get the lightning lane, but they felt like they wasted the 2 hours already standing in line.
Yeah.
So even getting the lightning lane, they were like, oh, well, like they were still upset because they were only there for the one day. I
was like, well, you got a picture of my jersey.
Huh?
You got a picture of my jersey.
Oh, yeah. I did get a picture of your jersey in the Stormtrooper room.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was I got a good picture at least. But we weren't upset because we were like, oh, whatever, we're Magic Key holders. But I felt bad for that couple because I can tell this was the first time on the ride for them because they had no idea what was going on. I was like, remember the most annoying thing of that whole ride is people not paying attention. And then, of course, you're not expected to because you're not in school, right? You're just at Disneyland. But when they say, remember those colors, you remember those stupid colors because when it's time to get on the ride, they're like all lost and running everywhere. I'm like, no, what was your color? Go to your color. They're like, what? So, anyways.
To be fair, though, when the ride first opened, it didn't matter. They would just like.
No, you did remember when you had to go in the ride. You had a row to sit in.
Yeah, but they would just say, they would kind of show you
there
to
were
your
colors.
seats. Yeah, but they would show you. It was more hand holding.
Oh.
It wasn't like you really had to remember. It's only been like in our last few times on the ride.
Now they made it even more idiot proof because when you go in the jail room, your colors are there again. Before it wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So now they're like...
So they had to do more hand-holding because there were no colors in the room,
right.
the holding tank.
Oh, yeah.
And so when they got on there, they're like, okay, Blue, you sit in here, and then they would do this. And you would remember the color. It's just that now it's just kind of like, remember your color and go to the ride. And then
they don't say it really clearly. They just say it like, in character, like, remember your colors, and those were whatever. So I guess... But still, I don't know. It's like, okay, please just swallow.
So when they cut the door open to free you, don't lean on the walls. Don't push on the door.
Yeah.
Because that I guess that messes up the ride.
Yeah, somebody was leaning because, I could tell there were a bunch of tourists there. It was their first time. So they were just leaning against the wall. And I'm like, oh, that door's going to open, so don't lean against it. And they're like, oh, what? And then, whatever. So anyways... So we didn't go, and we didn't plan on coming back to Disneyland. We were just going to stay at DCA.
To be fair, part of the immersion is you're not supposed to know there's a door there. So
yeah, I know.
So it's kind of like...
I shouldn't be mad at tourists. It's fine.
No, I mean, because your first time there, you wouldn't know there was a door there. I'm sure you've leaned
Yeah, but I don't lean on a... Yeah.
It's just, it's a wall.
That doesn't bother me as much as just them being lost and just like, dude, you're in my seat. Is that your color? No, get out. Like, like a couple of times I had to be like, no, that's not your color. Get out.
Yeah. That's why you're not a trainer at work.
I
you don't want to train new staff.
People are afraid of me to show them anything.
You would be a horrible onboarder. We told you to bring a pen.
My dad used to be terrified at me when I showed him how to attach documents for emails. He's like, you're yelling at me. Oh, no.
I know. Your own father's afraid of you. Why would you?
Why would Disneyland patrons?
Calm down.
They have no...
Chill. Disney
I
is a
know.
place to relax, and you're bringing your work stress into some place that's magical.
That's why I think I like Disney Japan.
Because it's organized?
It's authoritarian. Tells people what to do.
China.
Yeah, maybe let's go to Shanghai Disney. Forget Japan.
That's more your style.
That's more my style. It's like, you stand here and you just stand here. We will tell you where to go.
You stand here until we tell you to leave.
There's no haunted mansion merging.
There's a COVID lockdown. You might not leave for 6 months, but you're going to stand there.
That's why I was all distraught when we were at Pixar that one time, the Pixar parking lot. And there was no cast member telling you where to park. I'm like, no, these people can't just be on their own driving everywhere in the parking lot, Yeah.
I always hear about all these stories about, and you tell me like on the boats, when you came over here as a refugee and stuff. And sometimes people were afraid they got the wrong kid and everything. And sometimes just a little Viet Cong just comes out in you, and I'm wondering, like, you sure you're Southern? Because you're very authoritarian, man.
Maybe it's because my family is just too free. I'm like,
dude, you don't mesh with the rest of your if your entire family was like that?
No, I think it's because if you grew up in that freedom and chaos, you're thinking like, dude, I need some order around here.
Yeah, but your sister's not like that. It's like everybody else in your family is very easygoing, except you.
I'm easygoing. Man, I was like, that time when it rained, when we went the week before this one, when it rained and I was getting food, I was like, dude, I don't know why I subject myself to this Disney crap. Like, this is so stressful. I was trying to get food and then I forgot my fork thing that I bought, utensil thing. And I had to go back and I was like, man, why do I subject myself to this? Why am I just not like a normal person relaxing on the beach? Why do I subject myself to all this stupid stuff? Constantly looking at my phone, trying to book a Lightning Lane, trying to book mobile ordering, all this stuff.
You don't even have kids yet.
Yeah, that's why I can't. I would chain them to my hand or something. Like, you're on a leash.
It is what it is. Different parenting styles.
I don't know why. Like, I guess
it's
age.
funny.
The older I get, the more like I can't stand chaos.
You were like this when I met you 11 years ago. Don't blame it on age.
That's the only problem I have with the Haunted Mansion. I love that ride,
your mom
but I hate
is
that.
more like, hey, she's the total opposite. Hey, take care of it for me. Hey, you just make the decision.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna control everything. I'm Skynet. The funny thing
No,
is,
it's not controlling everything. It's just, why can't people just orderly follow instructions?
yeah. I'm sure Kim Jong Un says the same thing. Why do you make me imprison you? If you just do what I tell you. And the funny thing is that people will always ask us like, why don't you guys go overseas? Why don't you guys go to Florida? Why don't you guys do these things?
No,
I'm like,
heck no.
do you have an hour for me to explain to you why? But no, I'm picking on you. You actually makes my life very easy, so I'm not going to complain about your style.
like, as much as people complain, there's all these memes out
about
how the TSA is like yelling at you, like, get your bag out, take your shoes off, blah blah blah. I'm like, that's cool.
That's Tracy's safe place.
Yeah, I was like, yes, they need to yell at you. Like, how many times have you traveled? You should know by now to take off your darn shoes before you get in line. Like, be ready. Jeez. Like the people who like scan in at the lightning lane. I'm like, why are you waiting till you're up there to look for the barcode? Like, I'm like looking like a mile away and having my barcode ready,
Something tells me you're not getting a job at concierge anytime soon.
No.
And not by your choice. But we have Hannah, and that's good enough.
Yes.
That's supplements.
See, Hannah's military. I think she has the orderly thing in line.
Oh, you're funny. All right, but
anyways, so we got so we were at DCA, and we're like, well, we don't want to go back to, and who knows when the ride's gonna open back up, right? Rise of the Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I'd go to City Hall or
no,
Commerce.
we did it in DCA.
Yeah, DCA,
so,
but
yeah.
what is it called? Commerce or something?
I thought it was just guest services, but I don't know.
No, they call City Hall over there, and over here it's called like Commerce something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the guest services place.
Where the car is.
Yeah. And then I asked if I can get a refund because we're not going to make our way back to Disneyland today, and we don't even know when the ride's going to come back up. And so, yeah, they're like, okay, well, we'll give you a refund.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Cast members are good.
Yeah, just have to look for guest relations. They have the power to do things like that.
Yeah.
So we got a refund, and we just hung out at TCA the rest of the time and got some food and
Yep, I got it was funny because we were waiting in line, and this is it's kind of like the goofy Sky School thing that happens a lot where I guess if the ride shuts down and opens up, the lightning lane is just long. So we ended up just getting like 3 beers. But like I would stand in line, you stand in line, I'd get a beer, and then I came back. And you're like, I want some. I'm like, well, it's right there at the beer garden because the beer garden is right next to.
Yeah, and it's that beer we talked about last week with the something brass monkey. No, that's the
Golden
Beastie
Monkey
Boy song.
Golden Monkey.
Golden Monkey. Brass monkey.
It's the Golden Monkey, and I forget the other. I don't know if Golden Monkey is the company and they had another sub name, but it's really good beer. It only comes in 10 ounces, but it's like 9.4.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same as Brother Thelonious, or about the same alcohol content, but it's light, so it's not going to fill you up like Brother Thelonious.
Yes.
So it's even more potent. We were just drinking beer in line.
About it yet, but anyways,
we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got like beers while we stood in the lightning lane line at Goofy Sky School. So that was cool. And then we got to meet. There is an artist at DCA in that area in Paradise Garden where it used to be the Encanto area. Yeah. And then now it just changes depending on the season.
Those things that are at parks.
Well, she had her art there, big mural of something, and there's a video that I'll post of her working on it, and then her name is Marcella Sweat, and Brian went up and shook hands with her, got to meet her.
Yeah, so African American artist doing a big mural, Pixar mural. It's really nice. So you guys, if you're at DCA, stop by and take a look.
Yep. So, anyways, then. What else happened that day? I only talked about Rise of the Resistance. So
That's kind of, I mean, it's kind of the same stuff that we do all the time. We went on some rides, and
Got to
enjoyed some
get
stuff.
soaring over California.
I forget the name of the band. Was singing the Purple Rain. Adanya.
Oh yeah.
She was really good.
I forgot the name too.
We posted it though, and we
Yes.
tagged them in it. It's forgot her name. It starts with an A, but it's her name, her band, and
Yeah.
she blows. I mean, when I say she blows, it doesn't mean she's bad. No, she can blow. Like she's got sings really good.
The Tina
really high.
Aldana band.
Aldana, that's her name. Yeah.
She's singing Purple Rain.
She was when we walked by, but she's very good at multiple songs and just an excellent singer. And I like it when they do those things for the festivals. I think they should do them even when they don't have festivals.
Yeah.
Because I think
Because there's that stage there, and they should have. Yeah. I think they do it at Downtown Disney. You know how they have that new stage now?
Yeah, and they do that. But I think it is, especially at California Adventure, where the theming is more modern and it's not as fantasy as Disneyland, right? It's more like the theming is actually about California. So even though it's Pixar, it's not as like they're trying to. The theming is not like, oh, we're going to trick you into thinking you're actually in a Pixar movie. It's more like this is California, but it's where Pixar resides, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they have, all these things. Now, San Francisco is they're kind of edging more towards that, with the theming, which I think is a good thing. But they also have Avengers Campus, where that's an MCU theming, and then, other stuff. Goofy Sky School is obviously more Disney than Pixar. And so it's kind of like a mix of things, and then it's cultural things. So it's more, I think DCA is more, I guess, to sum it up, it's more about culture.
Yeah.
Than it is about being lost in the fantasy. Still magical.
Mm.
And so when it's more about culture, I think having live bands and stuff is really appropriate for that park.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it, And it's kind of, and they have alcohol. So if you got live music, alcohol, hey.
Well, a lot of people who goes on the East Coast say it's a lot like Epcot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of it's a mini Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really mini, because Epcot's huge. But
yeah.
but the thing is that you don't need a lot because it has the rides, it has kiddie rides, it has stuff for adults, it has everything. It has places to sit more than Disneyland. There's more shade there than Disneyland, but you still get your rides on and you still get your entertainment. So it's kind of a really nice package, just in a small box.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, so let's talk about the Acolyte trailer.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be a 2-episode premiere on June 4th. Now, first, my question is, who are the Acolytes?
So an acolyte, technically, that just means student, but it's usually only dark side users use that term. So it's kind of like you could be a Sith acolyte, you could be a dark side acolyte, but it's like the Jedi you never be called a Jedi acolyte. You're just a Padawan.
But if you're like students,
you're a youngling or a
youngling
Padawan.
or a Padawan.
Youngling, Padawan, Knight, Master, and that's the ranks in Jedi. But in the dark side is different.
But what if you're not a kid, but you don't have a master? Like you're a teenager without a master. Are you a Padawan or still a youngling?
Light side or dark?
Jedi.
Jedi. You're just kind of a Ronin. So, I mean, in Ahsoka, they called them Boken Jedis. That's what they would call them. There really isn't. You could just be a light sider, or you could be called
a light sider.
Yeah.
But you're still training. You just don't have a master yet.
Yeah, but a Jedi is actually an order. So that's kind of like saying, if you take away all the powers and the lightsabers and stuff, if you read the Bible, or let's say you didn't even read the Bible, you're just acting in accordance with the Bible, you still wouldn't call yourself a Catholic. You know what I mean? Or a Lutheran, or some faith that follows the Bible, or the Quran, or any other religion. You would just be somebody who practices your own religion. You're somebody who believes in God, but that doesn't necessarily put you in a organized organization. I should say.
Okay, so acolytes, the Sith use that term. It's not.
Yeah.
So
The
why
Sith,
is
the
it?
Sith and the Jedi, just look at them as institutions. They're
Mhm.
organizations,
Mhm.
right? Churches, so to speak.
Right.
But the light and the dark, it's kind of like if somebody in our world says, "Well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual." Well, then
Okay.
that would be
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't belong to either,
Either,
but still
has.
has the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or still practices.
So why is the show called The Acolytes when the trailer shows all Jedi?
Well, Leslie Headland, who is the showrunner, has basically said this is a show. I mean, well, the one important quote she did after the trailer is like, "This trailer, what you're seeing is not what you think the show's about."
Mm-hmm.
So they say it's from, well, she's saying it's from the villain's point of view. So, yeah, they're showing you Jedi in the trailer, which is smart because people are familiar with Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you see all the different color lightsabers at the end. But if you notice at the end of the trailer, they all got blown back by one guy.
Right.
So
it's acolytes because it's what the Sith would call Jedi students.
or it's somebody who is following the dark side. And they're a student of the dark side. So you could be a student of the dark side or practicing the dark side or following the dark side. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're a card-carrying Sith.
Yeah.
Or at least not yet.
Yeah.
Because if you really are because technically after Darth Bane, there's only supposed to be 2 Sith.
Right.
So you could have acolytes. So like, think of acolytes kind of in the way they had inquisitors.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can be an acolyte. You can have as many acolytes running around as
Right.
you want.
You could just have one Padawan.
But there's really only 2 Sith.
I mean, not Padawan.
No.
Apprentice.
Master and apprentice.
Yeah.
That's the Sith rule of 2.
Yeah.
And so the Sith are somewhere there. But we have to remember, and if they're going to stay with canon, at least current canon, and not change anything, the Jedi, at least most of the Jedi, think that the Sith are extinct at that time.
Yeah.
This is at least 100 years before the Phantom Menace, maybe more. We don't know exactly when in the High Republic era this takes place. If it takes place towards the end, you might see Plagueis. You know, Plagueis is Darth Sidious's master. Tenebris was his master. So if we don't see Plagueis, we might see Tenebris. But an acolyte is basically, it could be somebody who is just follows the dark side. It could be somebody who's trying to be a Sith. It could be somebody a Sith master is monitoring to be a potential apprentice, but maybe that person's not even aware they're being watched. So there's a lot of different options there when you use the word acolyte. But the only thing that it does denote is that it's dark side.
Yes, and then I just noticed it's the acolyte.
Yeah.
Singular. So there is one acolyte.
Yeah, but we don't know who it is.
We don't know who it is.
And here's the thing. Just because it's the acolyte doesn't mean there's not multiple dark side users in the show. The acolyte, you may not find out until the end of the series.
Yeah.
Who the acolyte is.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, we don't know. And maybe they'll change the name of the show, like in the last season, to The Apprentice. So
the acolyte becomes the apprentice.
Right. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people are, like Leslie Headland, a lot of the hardcore, especially online Disney fans, not Disney fans, but Star Wars fans. There's a lot of hate towards her, just because they think she's arrogant.
I've never heard of her.
Nah,
what else did she do?
You wouldn't do.
Oh, okay.
She did what do they call it? Dollhouse. Some show I never watched, but I mean, she has some credits, some major credits, and she's one of Kathleen Kennedy's henchwomen. So apprentice. She's a lot of people, they don't like Kathleen Kennedy, so automatically they don't like her.
Yeah.
That's one. Two, there's this thing that a lot of the more, I don't know what you call them, but traditionalists, I should say, call like the people, the anti-woke crowd, say like the girl boss trope, where they're just sick of strong women, that have no flaws, trying to like the Captain Marvel type characters.
Mm-hmm.
They're just putting them in there because they're women.
Like Ray and
yeah, and they think that that's kind of just like a feminist thing, and they're anti-feminist, and so. And I mean, to me, it's like it doesn't matter the motivation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even go down those rabbit holes. To me, it's like it's either good or it's not. If it's not good, I don't care if the politics of the showrunner aligns with mine or not. It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not good. If it's good, it's good. Even if I disagree with the politics of somebody, Again, I don't agree with everything Elon Musk says, but I own a Tesla. Like it's whatever, dude. It's like you judge the product on its merit.
On its merit.
Yeah, and if it's not good, it's not good. I don't, getting into all these other things, it just says more about you than it does about the product.
Yeah.
So I would say that give it a chance. I think the trailer looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie-Anne Moss is in
Trinity.
it. That's you because you're a big Matrix fan.
Trinity.
I think that
I know our cousins are excited about the guy. I forgot his name, but the Squid Game guy. The Korean actor.
JJS. Yeah. JJL, sorry.
JJL.
Yeah. He's the lead character in Squid Games, and
but he's like popular already before.
Yeah, he's a big Korean guy. Yeah. He's the main Jedi. His name's Soul in the series. Yeah. So they're it looks like it's good. They've had a long time to work on it. I mean, we saw the teaser trailer that was like at Comic-Con, I think, like a year ago. So, and they already had footage then. So they've had a lot of time to work on this. It's coming out in June 4th, I believe. And I'm excited about it. And I think that it's the first time to where we're seeing some stuff that's outside of the Skywalker stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because even the prequels were the beginning of the Skywalker saga with Anakin and his journey. Obviously, the original trilogy was all about the Skywalkers with Luke versus Vader, and then the sequels were the legacy of the Skywalkers. Regardless if you think if they were good or bad, it's still Skywalker stuff, right? This is the first major production, because even Ahsoka and The Mandalorian are still attached to the Skywalkers, right? She was Anakin's apprentice. Anakin was even in her show. Mm-hmm. This is the first major production, even though it's on television, that has nothing to do with the Skywalkers.
Well, The Mandalorian didn't have anything. Oh, but Luke showed up in it.
In his show, too. I mean, it's still tied to everything. And what I mean by that is that the effect of either Luke or Anakin had an effect on their galaxy.
Yeah.
This is before even Sidious. So everything that is happening in this show has nothing to do with anything you've previously seen.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it won't connect to some things in the future. They may have some foreshadowing of stuff that we already know about. Mm-hmm. But it's not, the cause and effect isn't going to be there. If anything, they're going to maybe show things that cause some things to happen in the prequels. So that gives them a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And a lot less potential for criticism in the sense, I mean, they're going to get criticized anyway. Everybody hates Star Wars. They say there's no worse Star Wars hater than Star Wars fans. So, but I think with this, at least they're not like, oh, if we do this isn't what George Lucas did, or oh, this contradicts what we did in Episode 4, or you know what I mean? It's like they don't have to worry about that. They can just have a completely new story, completely new characters. The only one major character that may be in there is Yoda. He's the only one old enough to be around that time.
Yeah.
Well, not the only one. There's some droids.
Yeah.
But,
Hu Yang?
Yeah, Hu Yang could be there. And there's a few other characters. Maz Kanata, I think, is around that time. There's some old people, but I don't think the story's not about them. So.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And, I say just give it a chance. If people are already complaining, and it's like the trailer looked good, and at the end of the trailer, they show all these Jedi getting blown back. They say, "What's that?" And it's a red lightsaber, and people are like, "Oh, you don't know what a lightsaber is?" It's like, no, the Jedi have never seen a red lightsaber during that time period.
Oh, right, because there's no Sith.
There's no Sith, at least to their knowledge.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is that? It's like
A red saber?
Yeah. And since in the prequels they still weren't aware of the Sith, except Yoda. He's the one that knows about the rule of two.
Yeah.
Something tells me all those Jedi die.
Yeah.
Because somebody'd be like, dude, we fought a Sith 200 years ago or whatever, you know? And they would have reported it back to the temple and da-da-da-da. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with it. I'm interested to see what happens. Again, don't take our real-world politics into Star Wars. It's like leave it where it is.
Wait, if this was 100 years before?
We don't know if it's 100 or more.
Oh.
Yeah.
When was Bane? Because Bane's the one who redid the Sith thing.
Bane was before that.
Oh, okay. It was way before that. Okay.
Yeah. So, Now, any Sith that show up will probably have a better understanding of Bane, and his name will probably be mentioned because they're closer to that, and they're following the rule of two to a fault.
Because Because before that, before Bane, there was like the Sith and Jedi were like equal numbers, kind of like.
Yeah, they were both just thousands.
Yeah, they're just war against each other all the time.
And the whole thing is that with Bane, it was he came to the understanding that, look, we've tried for millennia to just beat the Jedi, beat the Republic through like a real war.
Yeah,
and that hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And to keep trying the same thing over and over makes us stupid, because we keep losing.
And then within the Sith, they're fighting each other for ranks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's like, if there was just two of us, we wouldn't be fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and when you see a lot of organizations, especially corrupt organizations, most of their L's that they take, most of their losses are going to be from within.
Yeah.
Because everybody, if the Sith, it's about passion and pursuing your passion, but passion is selfishness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I told everyone the same thing about being entrepreneurs. You need people who are passionate, but you can't tell them they're wrong because it's like it's my way or the highway, and then you're going to get 10,000 of them together and expect them to get along. No, it's like they're all going to fight each other eventually because each of them have their own vision of what the Sith should be, what the galaxy should be, and each one of them thinks they should be the boss. Each one of them thinks they should be the top guy. So. Having two and just working through, like if you see Sith in the Acolyte, you probably aren't going to see like the traditional, unless it's a fight scene, which should be rare. You'll see them more like in business attire. They're going to be mingling among the business elites and stuff like that. Sith, basically what you consider Sith what we would consider the deep state. They'll be manipulating people who are, in certain military ranks and certain political, certain businesses. Like even at the beginning of the Phantom Menace, they were in control of the Trade Federation.
Yeah, but we never knew.
No one ever knew it was.
Yeah.
They just thought it was the Trade Federation.
Yeah.
Doing their own thing, and it wasn't. So that's how they were operating. They were gathering wealth, power, influence, manipulation.
All on their own.
All on
just
their
two
own,
people.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yay. Okay. And then we recently, yesterday, saw X-Men 97.
The first two episodes.
The first two episodes of X-Men 97.
And I know I said I wasn't interested in it, but then you had mentioned that you kind of were interested to want to watch it. And I didn't think you would be because you hadn't seen all the previous ones leading up to it, but you said you don't care. You just wanted to.
I would just catch the Cliff Notes with New Rock Stars or something if I didn't understand. So.
Yeah. But you had some questions about certain things.
Yeah, so it was entertaining. I can see why millennials like it because they grew up watching it in the 90s and now they just want to continue. And you said it literally picks up from the last episode.
Yeah.
Of whatever
where they left off.
Yeah, where they left off in the 90s. So it was only half an hour each episode.
But you have to figure it's a half an hour with no commercials.
No commercials.
Back then, and there were commercials. So these are actually longer episodes.
Yeah, and then I had seen all the X-Men movies. I think all of them, because back then there wasn't MCU stuff to watch. So X-Men was the thing.
That was
I
the
mean, either
MCU.
that or Batman, but
Yeah.
Batman was like, okay, well, it's getting dark because it was during the Dark Knight era.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, forget it. I'm gonna watch, So I watched X-Men, and I thought it was cool. So I knew some of these characters that were in X-Men movies. So I was like, wait, Rogue was flying. So how come Rogue?
Yeah,
flew?
because Rogue in X-Men movies couldn't fly.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was a teenager. And here
Yeah.
she was like an adult that kind of had something going on with Magneto.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoiler alert. Sorry.
Yeah. So spoiler alert. So the way I thought about it, because you had a few questions, and the way I'm going to think about it is, how does this connect to the MCU? Because this might come into the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
So Rogue's, I think everybody who saw the X-Men movies knows what Rogue's basic power is basically to absorb the powers, memories, and abilities of others.
But they freeze in the movie.
In the freeze, they go unconscious. Most people,
unconscious. Okay.
they fall asleep, but she gets their powers and she gets their memories.
Mm.
In the comic, in the movies they didn't really show that much,
Yeah.
but in the comics she actually gets their memories. That's why in the cartoon she could perform surgery because she just absorbed the doctor's thing. The thing is like a lot of mutants, they don't have full control over their powers all the time, and they can go berserk, and which is, I think it is kind of a bit of naivete, I should say, on behalf of Professor X and everyone, because all the mutants are like, why are you scared of us? Oh, yeah, this guy could destroy a continent. It's like, what wouldn't I be scared of you?
I don't know. Just because Cyclops can just open his eyes and everybody dies?
Yeah. I mean, he's not even the powerful one.
I know.
Storm could literally flood an entire country. She could bring about an ice age.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, why are you guys so scared? So I do think that's kind of stupid. Like, they should be more like Sith and kind of like, okay, we're mutants, let's stay hidden.
Yeah.
Right? and work, on the vaccines. But Rogue used to belong to the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. In the comics, her adoptive mother was Mystique. And Mystique is old in the comics. And one of her first victims, missions by Mystique, was to attack Miss Marvel. Not Miss Marvel Kamala Khan, because Carol Danvers used to be Miss Marvel in the comics.
Oh, okay.
She attacked Carol Danvers, and powers couldn't control it, and absorbed everything. Carol Danvers went into a coma for decades, and she kept those powers.
Oh.
So she has the basic powers of Captain Marvel. Plus hers, they really never explained that in the cartoon. Well, I think they might have. I'm not sure. I think they did. They have one cut scene where they show her and they see this woman in the hospital dead, but yeah, she has the powers.
I mean, they alluded to it when she
Yeah.
was talking to Magneto, like, he was saying something, and then she's like, well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm different now, or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mystique in the comics is actually the biological mother of Nightcrawler. That's why they're both blue. So Mystique is actually has a major role in the comics. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because we don't know if that's going to happen in the MCU. Captain Marvel might show up thinking she's going to, chew bubblegum and kick butt, and Rogue sneaks her, and maybe Captain Marvel done for a while.
Bye-bye, Carol.
Bye, Carol. So that's the answer to that first question.
Okay. And then you told me.
Well, you asked yet another.
Oh, yeah. Sinister.
Oh, okay. So
he's in the
trailer.
Not the trailer, the whatever.
Trailer. Well, not the trailer, the intro.
The intro scene. Yeah, the intro to.
A lot of people don't know that he's Sinister, and a lot of people are talking about Mr. Sinister being a thing. And so Mr. Sinister, if you watch the intro, he's the one fighting Morph at the end. You can barely see him. He's in shadows, but then you see these 3 red eyes. Actually, it's 2 red eyes, and then he has like a diamond that's red on his forehead. He's pale. So how does he connect? And this is where the MCU really kind of they could still do it, And I think the reason they dropped the ball is because a lot of this stuff happened before the Fox purchase.
Mm-hmm.
But they could redo this stuff because I don't remember. I think Eternals happened after the Fox purchase.
Yeah.
They should have included some stuff in there.
Mm.
Because technically, in Eternals, mutants, well, they fought the deviants, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Eternals. Technically, mutants are a form of deviant.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Celestials came to Earth and they just mucked with everyone's genetics, and that's why you have the X gene.
Mm-hmm.
And humans got the potential to be like, mutated and become superpowered. I think in Marvel that's too much stuff. They're just going to make everyone a potential mutant, but we'll see. But the reason Mr. Sinister is important is not because he's been in the MCU yet. Well, technically he's been in the Fox movies because at the end of Deadpool, the last Deadpool 2, I mean, not even at the end, but the school that all those kids were being tortured in, it was the XX Academy or the XX Institute. Mr. Sinister's real name was Nathaniel Essex. And he was a geneticist. And we could go on, but he was actually a regular human. He's not a mutant. What happened is that he ended up encountering Apocalypse like in the 1800s.
Mm.
And because Nathaniel Essex was actually a contemporary of Charles Darwin, and they would disagree and stuff about evolution. And Apocalypse is going off on another tangent. Apocalypse is a mutant who's been around for thousands of years. And a lot of people saw Age of Apocalypse, which,
Yeah, I didn't see that.
But he's a powerful mutant, but a lot of the power that he has isn't from his mutant abilities. It's from celestial technology, which is tied to the Eternals.
Mm.
So I'm saying they could have kind of worked that in because that's what ties the X-Men to the Eternals to the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse has this technology. Like when he makes the Four Horsemen, that's not his mutant ability. That's power that he got from a celestial ship.
Yeah.
And celestial tech. And he did that to Nathaniel Essex, and then Nathaniel Essex became an immortal, superpowered being. Now, who's messing with the X-Men, and even Scott and Jean, he's trying to match them up. Kind of like Ricks did to try to create more Mortys. He tried to do that with Scott and Jean to make. And I don't know how
to make more Scotts and Jeans.
No, because he knows their children are going to be super cosmic powerful.
Yeah, that was the other thing in the first episode and second episode. Jean is pregnant.
Yep.
With Scott's kid.
Yep.
And when she finally had the kid, she named him Nathan Summers or something?
Yeah, Nathan Summers.
And that is actually Cable.
Yes.
From Deadpool.
Yeah. So the Cable in Deadpool
AKA
is actually...
Thanos, just kidding. No, I don't want to confuse anybody.
The...
Don't know if you... But yes, Cable from Deadpool.
Yeah. And so Cable is a crazy super telepath, telekinetic, even more powerful than his mom. And in the comics, what happens is he gets infected with the techno-organic virus, and that's why he has a metal arm, kind of like Winter Soldier. But that's his real arm. It just got infected with this disease.
Metal thing.
Metal disease, techno disease. And so he gets sent into the future to where there might be a cure. And then he becomes an enemy of Apocalypse in the future and fights him, and then he comes back.
Yep.
And then when he comes back, he's the father of Hope Summers. That's a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then now you see Cable in Deadpool, and that connects him to Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Deadpool are frenemies.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the comics and now in the movies. So all this stuff is MCU relevant because you might see this stuff, especially with the new Deadpool movie coming out that's supposed to kind of connect everything.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Nexus beings now, how they're really not giving up on the whole Kang the Conqueror thing. He might be recast. Mm-hmm. They already have somebody that they're looking at. I forgot his name, but if Deadpool's a Nexus being, if Wanda, like the Scarlet Witch, is a Nexus being is somebody in each universe that kind of time and space kind of coalesce around. They're like really important. If they die, the universe starts to die. Incursions, which is Secret Wars. So all this stuff can be traced back and has to do with this X-Men cartoon. So, and there was something else I think that there was in there. I forget. Oh, at the
they
end.
They introduced Roberto da Costa.
Oh, yeah. He's Sunspot.
Oh.
That's his name in the comic, and he'll probably reveal his name later. And this is probably spoiler stuff, but it's a cartoon. I don't know. I don't know how many of you guys are seriously watching it, but that's why you should read. If you read, you're ahead of the game, folks. The more you know. Knowing's half the battle. No.
Well, this is hoping that.
But he played a big thing leading up to Secret Wars in the comics I told you to read. So if you keep reading, you'll find out.
Oh, I think I might have come across him in the comics. I just
Roberto da
forgot.
Costa. He's a million. His family is a million, maybe even billionaires from South America. He's a rich, spoiled guy, but he's also incredibly smart. He's kind of like, he doesn't have like the technological intelligence of a Tony Stark, but he's kind of like a Latino Tony Stark in the sense of the money and the influence he has in the world. Yeah.
Well, I'm just hoping Marvel Studios does connect all these, like the way you're explaining it, or they're just gonna do Eternals like type of movies, you know.
You have to connect the dots themselves. Yeah. I mean, because even at the end of Eternals, because here's the thing, they're in the MCU they're leaving loose ends because they canceled Eternals too, right? We talked about that. They've already canceled some movies, so at the end of Eternals, they introduced Star Fox, who pretty much told the audience, who's mostly not comic book readers, that, yes, I'm the brother of Thanos. And that's in an Eternals movie. Most people, again, it's kind of like the Ahsoka thing. Nobody even knew Anakin had a Padawan.
Yeah.
Nobody knew Thanos was an Eternal. So it's like that's this big loose end that they just kind of left out there. And if they're not going to do an Eternals 2, they're going to have to tie it up somewhere else.
Right.
So, and then I guess, spoiler alert again, the end of the comic, another Jean shows up at the door.
Yeah, the end of the cartoon. Yeah.
End of the cartoon. And that's because Madeline Pryor was a clone of Jean Grey, who's actually the one, in the comic books at least, Scott has been with, and that's the one who Scott got pregnant and had a kid with. He got pregnant. He impregnated Jean's clone, not actually Jean.
Oh, so the real Jean, supposedly the real Jean, is the one who showed up.
Showed up at the door, and the clone was Madeline Pryor, who becomes the Goblin Queen and all this stuff. But she was a clone created by Mr. Sinister, Nathaniel Essex, because da-da-da-da. And if you want one last little thing to tie it in, and I'm glad James Gunn put this in the movie, just how Nathaniel Essex, / Mr. Sinister was influenced by Apocalypse in Guardians of the Galaxy, the High Evolutionary, who's originally from Earth in the comics, but now he's from space, was at Earth, and all his genetic stuff was influenced by the books and readings of Nathaniel Essex, Mr. Sinister. So Apocalypse leads, so the Celestials lead to the Eternals, and which led to Thanos. The Celestials led to Apocalypse, which led to Mr. Sinister, which led to the High Evolutionary. So there's all these things that are connected. MCU hasn't explained none of them.
No. So that's what I'm saying. Will they even follow through with all those connections, or will they just put everything in a silo again? You know.
And then you have all these offshoots where, like, okay, because of that whole thing, that connection of Mr. Sinister, he creates a clone, which leads to Madeline Pryor, which leads to Cable, which leads to the hijinks that him and Deadpool get into. It leads to Rachel Summers. We haven't even gotten there yet. That's in another timeline where another half daughter of Scott and the real Jean in an alternate timeline, which Loki might be messing with, who is gets the Phoenix Force.
Talked about Wanda being Magneto's daughter.
So, yeah, Quicksilver and Wanderer are Magneto's kids. So, spoiler alert. So, there's a lot. There's a lot. So, I mean, it's kind of like watching Game of Thrones. At least Game of Thrones tried to explain everything, but
Yeah.
the MCU is just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely their fault, right?
Right.
They didn't own the rights to certain things at certain times. They still don't own the rights to like Spider-Man stuff. They could, you know, there's a writer's strike. There's this, you know, some movies bombed, you know, they don't want to redo. So, yeah, you know, but I think what they were, again, they're trying to introduce all these new characters, and which I think they do need to do, you know, just like Rey, like people hate Rey, but, you know, I think, you know, Generation Z might like Rey, you know, and the Generation Alpha that comes after Z might love Roy because they're little kids. So they have to do that, but they could still do that with a cohesive timeline.
Yeah.
That's already exists for you. It's the comics have already kind of written it out for you.
Wrote it out.
I don't want to get too mad at them because now I'm sounding like a weird Star Wars freak and be like, "Hey, you need to pay attention to the canon." You know, it's like, no, you don't have to, but at least if you're going to reference it, finish it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do something of your own, at least know what you're doing and have a plan. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there you go. Does that answer all your questions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good.
That's a good cliff note. Wow, I have like so much to talk about, but we don't have time.
Well, but we can
Should
take as much time as we.
Pixar Fest. Oh, okay, because we're only releasing one podcast a
they get
month
more.
now at this point.
Well, no, there should be 2 a month. We're just a little behind.
Well, I just wanted to quickly remind that Pixar Fest at Disneyland will occur April 26th through August 4th. And this is going to be at Disneyland, but then there's certain things that are celebrated also at DCA. So there's the Better Together Parade. It's a Pixar Pals celebration parade at DCA. So it's kind of like Pixar Parade. At Disneyland, there's Together Forever Pixar Nighttime Spectacular, which is the fireworks show. And here's one thing. Club Pixar at the Hollywood Backlot at DCA. So you can, that was like old, people were saying it brings back the old Mad Hatter party vibes. So check out, there's a few more things that they announced, but check out Disney Parks blog for the full list of entertainment.
Yeah. At first, I didn't understand why so much was at Disneyland because that's not Pixar. But then I just realized, it's probably just logistics. They just need to, you need parades. That's the best place to have it. Their main street is totally different than the main street.
Well, the parade will be at DCA, but the fireworks show is what will be at Disneyland.
Yeah, because so many people like fireworks. You can't pack that many people into one thing.
And then at the theater where they used to have Mickey's Magical Map or whatever, that theater near Toontown, right outside of Toontown.
Right.
There's going to be Pixar Pals Playtime Party. Oh, no, that's at Fantasyland Theater. And then, of course, popcorn buckets over at Disneyland and Pixar merch. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot going on throughout both parks. But that's Pixar Fest. And then the last headline is Disney execs campaign to not allow the Nelson Peltz takeover of the board. Yeah. So the former CEO of Disney, Michael Eisner, backs Disney and their current CEOs, saying Bob Iger to be, to remain in the proxy fight against what they call activist investors. Yeah. And he sent out a tweet that said, when back in his time in 1983, Disney was under attack by corporate raiders trying to take over the company. That would have ended the Disney company as we know it. They were suggested to be sold off. The board turned to me and Frank Wells, and a different story was written, one that was continued by Bob Iger and his executive team. Today, a similar situation exists, so let's remember the lessons from 40 years ago. Bringing in someone who doesn't have experience in the company or the industry to disrupt Bob and his eventual successor is playing not only with fire, but earthquakes and hurricanes as well. The company is now in excellent hands, and Disney shareholders should vote for the Disney slate.
Yeah. You know what's funny, and I know I always say, we shouldn't bring politics into Disney stuff. and then I always do. But it's and I don't do it from a political point of view, like from a ideological perspective. But it's just kind of what the Democrats are dealing with right now. It's kind of you have this guy who's, older than old at the head of your party, who, even though he may be, it's his beliefs and stuff may be what you back. He may not be up for the job. He may not even be around before the election. Who knows? I mean, you're taking that risk, right? So, and this is, and it's not even politics. It's more like, it's kind of like a boomer mentality. It's in the housing market as well. You have this situation where boomers think they're going to live forever. They're not selling their houses. A lot of people are complaining that, like, BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, these private equity groups are buying up other houses and stuff. And that's a little bit, they do own thousands of houses, single family homes in the United States, which does price people out. But the real people who are pricing people out are the boomers who just don't want to sell their houses. Because it used to be like when we were kids, grandma, grandpa either moved in with their kids or they moved into like a retirement community, which is like a condo community. Now they're like, no, I'm cool with my 8,000 square foot place. I don't want to sell it for less than $2 million. And yeah, I bought it for $200,000. And it's still not enough. You can't give me enough money, and it's like, and so
probably bought it for $80,000.
Yeah, some of them, depending on how long they lived in a particular place, and I mean that's their right to do that.
Right.
But it's
where
still
are they gonna move to? I mean, yeah, the condo, but they're just used to it there.
True, but it's like for example, does an 80-year-old really? Are they even cutting? They probably can't even get from one side of the house to the other at this point. These huge houses, and they just don't want to keep them on the market. They don't want to leave their jobs. So there's a lot of
they're not retiring.
They're not retiring at the same rate that their parents retired. And then a lot of it is just nature. They're just people are just healthier at older ages. Yeah. So I mean, it's not like I'm blaming them, but I'm saying it's kind of like. Like Dianne Feinstein, going back to the Democrats, like literally had to die in office. Like they won't kick and it's on both sides, Republicans and Democrats. Mitch McConnell on the Republican side, he is literally having strokes during press conferences. And they're like, yeah, and he just now said he was going to retire. Like that was like last week. And I was like, dude, you should have retired maybe 10 years ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even Trump is like in his mid to late 70s. Yeah. So it's like, why? I understand the wisdom of elders, but they should be on the sidelines. It's kind of like T'Challa, right? You still got the young buck as king. Let the elders talk trash from the side. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, so the boomers, there are some.
And so this is what's going on with Disney. Yeah. It's like you have, because Bob Iger's in his 70s. Right. And they're saying like,
well, he's retiring. What he's saying
he
is
retired and
let
came
him
back.
Choose his successor.
But they didn't. No, my point is from an HR perspective, you should always be choosing your successor. I'll be 53 in May. And I am over HR in my company for 6 states. I already know who my successors are. I've already groomed them. I've supplemented. No, but my point is if they had a successor, people wouldn't be worried. It's not so much that it's not just that they refuse to leave. It's the fact that they don't think they ever will leave. It's like they don't have a plan set. Okay, this person, if something happens to me, this person would take over. Now, I mean, in the president, the vice president will take over, but no one seems to really like Kamala. So, but it's like, and if you really thought that you had confidence in her, you should have just let her run. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like the people who I'm training in my job, I can't wait for them to have the ability to just step in. If I, for some reason, Tracy wants to move to Vietnam, I don't think she will, but I'll do whatever, it's like I have somebody and everything will be fine. Yeah. Because I've prepared them. And not only have I prepared them, I've told them that's your job. Your job is to take my job. Yes. It's not, you don't let my ego isn't to like, you'll never have my job.
Yeah.
Nobody can
Nobody can
replace
do
me.
it.
Nobody can replace me. I'm the only one who can do
okay.
it. You know.
In all fairness, Iger, he did try to retire once. They brought him back. Like.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. I'm saying it's a culture,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a culture of I feel fine.
Mm.
I mean, even your granddad was driving in his 90s.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, yeah, I have employees that refuse to retire because it's like I've been working since I was 16. What would I do if I don't work?
And I think that's
the
part of that is a societal thing where
Mhm.
we need to come up with alternative means of fulfillment for people so they're just not they don't feel stuck.
Yeah.
You know? And
Well,
that's
like
one
my
part
uncle
of it.
who's retired and he has no idea what to do. Like he's depressed. He wants
Yeah.
to work. Like he's
But-
taking on projects and stuff.
But I think the problem is that when you have people who are older and you don't have a plan, it makes people nervous. It makes people real nervous because now you're a single point of failure, and you are one French fry away from the company going under.
Right.
And we don't want to be in. Nobody wants to be in that situation, right? And one golf cart flip from Disney being leaderless, you know, and so then that narrative attracts predators. So I agree. Maybe these other people are not good for Disney. Maybe they would take Disney apart, and maybe they would destroy Walt's dream and everything. But that's only possible because you didn't present a plan.
Yeah, because the shareholders are getting nervous.
Yes.
Right? It's like, okay, well, let's just bring this guy in who's willing to,
Yeah.
he's already like invested what 20 million in in Disney. Like he's a big shareholder, so might as well have his group.
I always tell anybody, regardless of what level they are in business, when I do consulting, when I just do whether I'm doing presentations internally, I'm like, if you have a job where you don't really have expectations, especially from a long-term strategy, or you don't know where you fit into the company's strategic plan, come up with your own benchmarks. Because if you don't, someone else will. Because you don't want to have that phone call where somebody is like, hey, we don't know what you do, so let me tell you what you do. You want to be able to get ahead of that and say, hey, I've come up with a list of benchmarks. These are the expectations for my team. These are da-da-da-da. Now, somebody could say, no, that doesn't sound good, but at least now they're editing something you created. But if you don't have anything and you're just kind of out there doing whatever, that'll feel good for a while, and some people can get away with it for years, but eventually somebody's going to come in and say, hey, what are they doing over there? What's their job? Oh, well, let me do something. And they'll make their name off putting you in check. And now you're stuck with something you didn't want when you could have created your own thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going on right now with Disney. And because the Peltz faction, I don't have really an opinion because I don't know the guy.
Yeah.
Or whether it's good or bad, but he may win. So
I suppose we get to you get to vote as a proxy or whatever. I don't know.
Whatever my vote for my minuscule amount of shares counts for. But yeah, we'll see.
And apparently Disney's heirs also support Iger and against the Peltz takeover.
And I think that's the sad part because let's say Iger's direction, not that it's been without, it has its flaws. I'm sure Johnny, he's pointed out some things that he didn't like. DMSW, you could check out. I forget which episode, but if you scroll through, it's probably one of his.
It's one of the
Grind My Gears
Grind
episodes.
My Gears.
He goes into some stuff, but still, if you're a supporter of Iger, especially if you're an internal supporter, like somebody who's actually in the company, your job is to be like to pull him aside. Circa 2019, 2018, and be like, look, man, you're getting older. I know that you still won 5 miles a day. I know that you're still a champ. I know that you still think you can be president. But we need somebody, not only a succession plan, but a whole vision for the company going forward, and something that can't be just tinkered with and messed up, something that's in place, something that all the board members are on board with, and this needs to be a vision. Because he didn't really do that. He was just kind of like, Chapek sounds good. I'm retiring. And then, Chapek was horrible. Okay, I'll come back. And it's like, Now it looks like we're just throwing darts at a board and seeing who's
the next
person, and it's like, yeah, that's now you've made the company vulnerable because somebody like I guarantee you, I wish I could own Disney, and if I had, because I think its market cap is somewhere around 400 billion. If I had like a couple billion myself, and I had some friends who, and maybe a Jamie Dimon or so that had, they can put some equity behind it for a proxy fight and start influencing people,
Yeah, who
I would attack too.
Yeah.
You
but
look
I mean,
weak.
it's not like Pelt is any younger, so it's gonna be the same.
He's not any younger, but it's kind of like Trump's not that much younger than Biden, but he still plays the age narrative because Biden's the one is the president, and get out there, you're going to see more flubs because you're going to be on TV more. So you've given the advantage to your opponent just because you refuse to quit or you refuse to have a plan. And it is what it is after that. Now you're leaving it to fate.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't leave anything that's important to me to fate. All right.
Time for Taste Talk.
It's Taste Talk with Tracy. Mash some magic in your mouth.
So we're going to talk about everything we had at the LA style booth.
Cool.
All LA food. Quote LA food. So the first thing was, of course, carnita style pork belly with esquite corn mac and cheese, mac salad, not mac and cheese. That was good. Very good. Of course, I love pork belly. So anything pork belly is really good to me. And they made it really well. Very buttery, like just really melts in your mouth type of meat. And then the esquite corn mac salad was really tasty as well, and it paired really well together.
Yeah, I like them both.
Yeah.
They tasted really good. Can't wait till you get to the next one. But
okay, so the next one I have a story. so at the same booth, I got all three things at the same time. The Baja fish taco was the second thing we had. It had cabbage, fish taco, cabbage, slaw, cilantro lime crema, and pico de gallo. And you took a bite of it. You're like, oh, so good. Then you finished it. And then I took a bite and I tried it. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good. And then you're like, I want another one. So I went and got another one. And then the guy who gave me the dish, was like, you do know it's plant-based, right? I'm like, what? So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say anything to Brian. So I gave it to him, and he
lied to me.
Wolfed it down. Very good. And I'm like, I have something to tell you. It's not real fish.
Betrayal. Betrayal of the highest order.
But you're like, it's cool, that's fine. I like it. I still like it. You didn't start throwing up or anything.
Wow. If you would have said it was avocado based,
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't have to say anything. I would have just been in the hospital.
But yes, they did make it very. I only took one bite, but they did make it very well where you can't tell it's not real fish.
Yeah.
And they didn't even say anything on the thing. They just had a little picture. Then later I noticed it's a little picture of a grass or something next to it, which means it's plant-based.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell me until later because I'm like, oh, because that guy's like, oh, you're back. I'm like, oh, the fish taco was so good.
It's trickery.
And then he's like, you do know it's plant-based. I'm like, what? not that I'm anti-plant-based. I just feel like I'm getting ripped off by not having protein in
I
there.
feel hoodwinked. Bamboozled. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
But you really thought it was fish, right?
I thought it was good. I thought, I didn't. And it's hard.
Texture.
It's hard because anything you fry tastes like fried food.
Yeah.
So if you fry something,
yeah, it was a fried
I'm not
fish.
looking. I'm not. Your culinary palate isn't going to pick up a difference as much as if it
it's more
was like
texture. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking for texture, and I'm like, oh, this has good texture. So, but then again, technically, a potato tot is plant-based fried food, and I like potato tots. So I guess it's technically like a potato tot, but like you said, it's not
bad.
fish. Yeah, it doesn't taste bad, Most quote-unquote vegetarian stuff is just fried or filled with sugar, it's not like it's healthier.
Yeah. It's just not
Twinkie is technically vegetarian.
plant-based. Just kidding. Well, no, because it has milk and eggs in it.
Well,
Twinkie.
no, it's vegetarian. It's just not vegan.
Yeah, yes. Oh, yeah. So, anyways. So, yes.
And I've questioned how much milk and egg it really has in a Twinkie. It's probably some chemical concoction that turns you into the Hulk.
So, actually, you had that twice. Two fish tacos.
Yeah.
And then I got a cocktail from
Two
the
potato tacos.
Yes. Might as well call it potato tacos.
Potato wedge.
And I got a cocktail from the same booth called the Spicy Strawberry Cocktail. It was gin, strawberry, tamarind puree, strawberry syrup, pineapple juice, chili spices, tahini chamoy with a tamarindo straw. Very LA. So, very SoCal. So, that was good. Spicy, sour, sweet, all that stuff.
What would you give that one on score?
7.5.
Okay.
The
It was pretty
Carnita-
good. I'm not a big fan of tamarind, but
Yeah, I
but
am.
but I appreciate what it enhances. So yeah, I'd probably give it. For me, it's like a 6.
Yeah. The Carnita 8.
Yeah, I'd probably give that an 8. I'll give it an 8 too. That was good.
What about the Baja taco? Fish taco.
Now that I know that it's a potato tot and a freaking carbs wrapped in carbs, a potato
It
tot
could
taco.
be made of soy. Soy has protein,
Still, yeah, kind of.
like tofu.
It tofu'd me. No, I mean, honestly, with I'll probably give it.
so good. I have
I'll probably give it. Well, it was filling. It was crunchy, and the texture was good. I'll probably give it a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, all right.
that's good. Well, this is old news, but I'm sure everyone heard that Disneyland Forward was approved by the Anaheim Planning Commission. Now we will move forward. Once I think they go through one more step of approvals or something. So get ready for some more entertainment.
Well,
It's the picture they showed is like more like a downtown Disney area that they're going to build. I don't know about park expansion. Like
it was
if they're
weird.
Gonna follow through with all that.
If you look at the picture, because it's over by
Magic Way and
yeah. So it's kind of by where that pizza place is. What's that? That's that pizza place that we used to park at. Anaheim Pizza, is that it?
the press.
Or was it? Yeah,
Or the Anaheim Hotel is?
Or the
No,
Anaheim
not,
Hotel
not
is.
that. No, that there.
No, it's because you can see Clemente and it goes to Magic Way, and then across, that's where all that stuff is.
Yeah. It says it's going to be restaurants.
Yeah, so I'm thinking
So
they're going to have to buy all those things.
extended downtown Disney. But
But
Disneyland
it doesn't
Forward,
touch any current Disney property.
No.
That's what I'm saying. It's across Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the other side of Harbor from where everything else already is. So regardless of where it is, there's already stuff there.
Right.
From all the way, Harbor's not, there's no empty lots on Harbor.
Yeah.
So whatever they're going to do is they're either purchasing that
Yeah,
that's
why people are like, why won't they just buy out the Garden Walk and have that an extended downtown Disney? Because
a lot of people
House of Blues
say
and
that,
everything's there already.
and a lot of people have talked about that, and I've looked into it, and I talked about it just years ago. This is probably before the pandemic, and the reason is that the financial and institutional owners of all the things in Garden Walk look like a ball of yarn. There's so many people and there's so many different creditors. There's so many. It's not like Garden Walk's owned by one or two entities.
Yeah.
And Disney can just come in and be like,
because there's an AMC there now, and then House of Blues, and all these big.
Well, there's just the land itself is not even owned by one entity.
Oh.
So it's kind of like it's like a Ponzi scheme. It's just a big thing, and so I think they would have to, and it might even be liens on the property. So then Disney buys it. Some people, because like let's say you have a lien on your house, that means if somebody buys your house, the lien holders get paid off first before you do. So therefore, let's say it's worth, I don't know, I'm just throwing out a number. Let's say it's worth $20 million. Like just the land, right? It's probably worth more than that because it's Anaheim. So let's say $50 million. If it's worth $50 million, but like let's say there's a $15 million, let's say there's a $20 million in liens, different liens from different entities, right? They get paid out first. So now you're only left with $30 million if you're the seller, and you might have creditors that don't have liens that you got to pay. You got other stuff you got to pay.
Yeah.
So now you're saying, okay, even though it's worth 50, I can't sell it for less than 100.
Yeah.
And then Disney's like, well, it's not worth 100.
Yeah.
You know. And then we got to suss everything out, and then and that's one owner, and there might be 6 other owners involved, and they have different things going on, and there could be a DEA investigation on one owner, and then a land use investigation on another, and then there could be a sewage issue, and it's just like Disney's probably like, we don't want that, not my table,
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Give us something free and clear.
free and clear, yeah.
Okay. Oh, speaking of soaring over California, Patrick Warburton, chief flight attendant, surprises soaring over California guests at DCA. So he's the guy, when you're in the queue
Yep.
and about to board, he's like, "Hello, this is Patrick, your chief flight attendant."
Yeah, Mr. Big. He's a pretty recognizable star.
Yeah, he's the voice of. I didn't know he was the voice of Kronk in The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, he was the Tick. He's a lot of stuff.
So Kevin actually sent me that video of him surprising the guests when he came out. He's like, "Oh my God, I would have flipped out." I was like, "Oh yeah, he's your guy." He's like, "I love this guy."
Yeah.
Wish he was there when he came out.
Yeah, he's in hundreds of things.
Mhm.
So,
So that was cool.
but that was pretty cool that he showed up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't know if anybody watched. I didn't watch it yet, but the Eras tour is now on Disney Plus. So enjoy.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear the numbers on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with stuff like that is it gets people to subscribe, but I don't know how many people it retains because once you've seen it,
Yeah.
Then
what?
Yeah. So what I would be angling for is some type of ongoing relationship with Taylor Swift. Even if it's like we get broadcast rights over her concerts or or even if like maybe she doesn't want people to have live viewings of her concerts because that would deflate ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
We could say, well, we get rights to we want to purchase the rights to view your concerts afterwards, but we're the only ones, like exclusive rights to show your concerts. So kind of like what they did with Hamilton and other stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. Taylor Swift's she's going to charge a pretty penny for it, but it might be worth it depending on the numbers. That's why I want to see what kind of numbers they did for the Eras tour.
Like, was it worth the $75 million they paid for it?
Because, I mean, apparently, like Singapore has exclusive rights. I think it's only Tokyo, Japan, and Singapore, the only places she'll agree to tour. She signed contracts to tour in all of Asia.
Oh.
So she's doing big deals, and the entire country's like, yeah, it was worth it. We just wanted, and to her, it's worth it because Singapore is a super safe city.
Yeah.
And it's super, because I think there were a lot of fans like in Southeast Asia where they were kind of upset by that. Like, means she's not going to come to the Manila or something like that. But like, she could go there, security's going to be good, logistics are going to be good, the infrastructure is going to be good. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to a country that's not as rich, but it makes sense, especially if somebody's paying her to do it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
And then, let's see, Critter Country closure. So Critter Country is closing to make way for the 2 new Princess and the Frog themed shops. So you know where that Briar Patch little place is? Near across from Pooh's Corner?
Yeah.
That's going to be a Tiana type of theme shop. And then part of Pooh's Corner is going to be another Princess and the Frog theme shop.
Which makes
so you know
sense.
how Pooh's Corner is kind of like 2 stores?
Yeah, it has the treat shop and then it has the gift shop,
So the gift shop will be rethemed.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's such a major ride, the Tiana thing, and such a major retheming throughout the park that It makes sense. Winnie the Pooh is not a big part of
Yeah, Pooh
Disney.
Corners is staying.
Yeah.
It's just Critter Country
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean, Pooh is actually considered critter, but
well, yeah.
Bear Country, whatever. But yeah, that just those two shops are gonna be rethemed.
Because they were more Splash Mountain oriented anyway.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad if they took over all that stuff.
Right.
I mean,
Well, people still like Pooh's Corner, the Winnie the Pooh ride.
I bet you they're looking at the numbers. I bet you you're right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go there. They get off the ride and they all go there. It's one of the rides where it probably, when you think of the amount of people that ride Winnie the Pooh, that go to the shop, there, it's probably the percentage. Because obviously more people go on Space Mountain or Star Tours than go on Winnie the Pooh, right? But if you look at the percentage of riders to shop vendors, Winnie the Pooh, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a higher rate.
Yeah. Like every time you walk off, you go straight to Pooh's Corner.
Yeah.
Every rider who walks off. Even we do that every time.
Yeah.
Even if we don't feel like getting anything,
it's
we
almost
just
like
walk
muscle
through.
memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, oh, what's that over there? And it is because, and I think it's psychologically, you're in this place where there's no other big rides, especially with Splash Mountain being closed down, and there's nothing else. So you're kind of just like, okay, we did this nice relaxing ride. Oh, let's check that out. And it's just like you just go there.
Yeah.
As opposed to like when you get off Space Mountain, you're looking at your lightning lane. What do we got next? What do we got?
Yeah, and Space Mountain doesn't even have. They just have that small thing on the right. It's Star Tours that you're dropped off at a big shop.
You go
but it's so crowded that you're just like, oh, let me just get out of here.
Let me just get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, even Pirates of the Caribbean, most people don't even go to that store.
Oh yeah, that little store right there.
I'm sure they have higher numbers, but they also have a higher number of riders.
Right.
I'm saying percentage to riders. I bet you Pooh beats them. Yeah.
I think so. Let's see. So on Thursday, March 21st, there was a Star Wars takeover at the Empire State Building in New York City.
Yeah, that looks so cool.
Yeah, I saw a picture. It's really cool.
So watch the video. It's it was pretty high def. I didn't, because we've seen projections and stuff on buildings before. This one was so clear.
Oh wow.
So I don't know if they just updated the technology for it or what, but it was like, man, it was like watching a high def movie, with digital projection on a building.
That's funny. My aunt says she just landed in New York right now. She's there to visit her son, my cousin Dalton.
He's at Cornell. Go Dalton.
He's graduating walking in June for the PhD part.
Yeah.
The MD part, he'll walk it next year. Yeah. We might try to go next year.
Smarty pants.
Okay. Finally. Oh, not finally. One more story after this. A judge dismisses the lawsuit against Disney over the VFX tech used in Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about it a while ago that this small company was suing Disney for the VFX infringement trademark or something.
And I don't know all the details of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we did talk about it, but
surprised that little company didn't just settle.
And that's what I was thinking, because they're right. I mean, this is kind of Disney adjacent. I talk about the UFC a lot, and the UFC's on exclusively with ESPN. They had a kind of a antitrust lawsuit from fighters that was been going on for a few years, and they were asking for probably like $1 billion, and then it could have been tripled with the damages and everything. They just settled for $300 million. A lot of money, but it gets to a point to where when these big companies, it's like your chances of winning, because they can throw an army of lawyers at stuff. And I think a lot of people don't understand that when we talk about when people say, oh, they got more money, that's why they're going to win. It's not like a judge is looking at, oh, who's the richest person? Now I'll side with them. Or that's not how, when we talk about how they have more money.
Yeah.
What they mean is they can hire a firm that has more attorneys, more paralegals. So during discovery, there could literally be boxes of documents, or even on a digital level, even if everything's digitized, that's literally, terabytes worth of data. And and it's just documents. And if you have like a lawyer and maybe a paralegal, like if you're just a person with a lawyer and a paralegal, or a couple of lawyers and a couple of paralegals, for them to look at literally 100,000 documents, because what'll happen is you'll ask for a discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Any side can do that, and the trick is that you'll say something. Well, we just want everything that mentions special effects or VFX or whatever.
Mm.
Well, Disney's been around since the 50s. They'll send you everything they have since the 50s.
Yeah.
And they do that on purpose,
right.
because the one thing that could get them is buried in that.
Yeah.
But you don't know what to ask for because you're on a witch hunt.
Yeah.
Not a witch hunt, but you're on a hunt to find that.
You're just asking for anything in the kitchen
because you're
sink,
hoping you'll find something there. So you don't want to reject that.
Right.
Or make it too specific, because then if you say, well, we just want stuff from 2012 to 2015. Well, what if it was in 2016? Or what if it was in 2013? So you want all this stuff, at least long as you've had a relationship with them, and then they'll send you everything, and you just don't have the manpower. Stuff like that. A big firm like a Skate and Arps or something, somebody huge, or Disney, they have the time and the manpower to look through tens, if not hundreds of thousands of documents, line by line by line. And if you don't have that, you're probably going to lose. Yeah. And that's how the rich beat the poor in court.
Yeah, that's true.
So knowing that, you typically, your lawyers will sit down and be like, look, if you have a good lawyer, an honest lawyer, because if you have a shady lawyer, what I mean by shady is not that they won't do their job. A shady lawyer will just drag it out because he gets paid by the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he's billing you.
Yeah.
He'll just drag it out. But if you have a good lawyer, it's like, look, and I've dealt with attorneys for my company, and I'm on the phone, and they're like, look, we settle, because if we take this to court, this would cost you 6 times the amount. And that's if we win. Or you could settle for this, and you get this, and that's if, usually somebody might be suing us because we're a company. But just settle for this, and it goes away. Yeah. And that's why I usually suggest people settle. But if you're going up against a behemoth,
they don't care.
Unless you're doing it on an ideological thing to where you want them to actually change their practice. But if you're looking for money, it's not worth it, usually. So, unfortunate, but yeah. And I don't even know if this VFX company was in the right or wrong. I'm just saying, I'm surprised they didn't settle.
Yeah. But maybe Disney didn't want to settle. They're like, no, we'll go to trial.
Yeah, that could be true.
You don't have
too.
enough on us.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm sure if it was a situation where they could have because I don't know how much they were asking for, but I'm sure, Disney would throw a few million their way if they just made them shut up. It's probably like in the, they paid Bob Chapek more than that to go away. So.
And then finally, there's a drone show that will start at Disney Springs from May 24th to September 2nd over in the East Coast there.
And we've seen different drone shows over the years, and they've gotten a lot more synchronous and a lot more advanced. And drone shows are actually pretty cool. And so I want to see it. So you East Coast people, let us know how it looks when it pops out.
Yeah.
Take videos. We'll post you. Tag us where we share it and all that.
But that is it. We will be back in the parks on Monday and Tuesday. Not next week, a week from Monday.
Yeah, so on April 1st and April 2nd is Tracy's birthday.
And we'll be at the Grand and celebrate. It's kind of a first time in a while where we've gone on a weekday. Besides the Splash Mountain thing closure.
That's how much I love you. For your birthday, I will use PTO.
Yay, PTO.
Even though we don't need to. Because we could have just waited.
We're blocked because it's spring break.
We could have just waited. We could have waited, but we're going to celebrate your birthday on your birthday. And so, it's going to be fun. We still have the in-park giveaway, which is the pin. Nobody's seen us, but we'll be on property. So if you see us, come up and give us that pin, and you will win it. And we got some new buttons and stickers, too, so we'll give you some of those. And even if you just see us, we'll give you buttons and stickers and some rope dropping knowledge swag. hopefully some of you be there. But you know, it is a Monday and a Tuesday, so I know a lot of you guys work, but some of you guys,
of the locals,
a lot of locals might show up. So we'll be back after. I think our next one will be obviously in April, our next episode. But we will tell you about our time on Tracy's birthday, and we will see you then. And remember, our giveaway ends on the 30th, so it's a week from today. For the Q's picture of San Francisco. So you still have time to enter. So that's it for us. I'm Brian.
I'm Tracy.
Stay magical.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and visit us at www.ropedroppingknowledge.com.